All right, welcome back. Of course, it's still TVC Breakfast, and we are taking a look at the political arena. Well, it's the dawn of another political season in Nigeria, and nothing better signaled this than the mass defection witnessed at the National Assembly.
Yeah, the die is now cast for a more rigorous battle between the APC and the main opposition party, PDP, come 2019. Where the pendulum swing will depend on how effectively APC can close ranks, ensure there are no further defections from its fold, and produce a robust party that will win the hearts of the people.
14 lawmakers from the Senate announced their defection through a letter read by Senate President Bukola Saraki. 12 of them defected to the People's Democratic Party and 2 to the African Democratic Congress. 37 members of the House of Representatives also chose to leave the All Progressives Congress the same day, with 32 of them defecting to the People's Democratic Party and 4 to the African Democratic Congress.
All right, everyone is watching from especially how things played out at the National Assembly yesterday.
Yep.
We have joining us in the studio an international lawyer and also a politician. I call him that way too. Olufemi Aina. Good morning.
Yes, good
nice
morning.
to have you join us.
Yes, thank you so much.
And we expect to join us soon from our Abuja studio, Shehu Gabam, the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party. We'll have him as we get along. Now, I know you've been following what the unfolding events at the national level, in the political space since yesterday. Are we generally having the exact repeat of 2014-2015 in 2018-2019?
Yes, you can't put it better than that. That's what is happening now. And if care is not taken, in the next few weeks and months, there's going to be mass defection and people cross-carpeting from one political party to another, because it's an open season now. This is an election season. That's what you get, especially in a country like Nigeria, where people are not playing politics of conviction and ideology. And I think I listened to one of your commentators when he said that, look, we want people who adhere to our values and what have you. But in Nigeria, do we play that type of politics? And also, I've said it on your program, what is politics? Politics, the definition of politics is power. It's strive for power and personal interest. And if people are playing politics along national interests, you won't get what happened yesterday will not happen. But where people are playing politics alongside in their own personal interests, that's what is going to happen. And there are still more to come.
And this is reminiscent of the words of Tracy Marcus, a pre-Socratic philosopher, who said justice is in the interest of the strong. That is to say that whatever those in government do, those in authority do, is usually in their interest and not in the interest of the masses. But with what is happening at the moment, where is the place of the mass of the people? Yeah,
you see, you need to distinguish between the two, because there's a difference between government and the government. Government is an institution. And what is an institution? An institution is a structure of meeting human needs. A government is a collection of people. And also, how did these people get into government? That's the question. Because they have my own mandate and your mandate. And they are representing our interests. They are supposed to represent the national interest. But where doesn't that doesn't happen? That's why we have it in all the constitution that, look, after a period of time, there should be an election. And so that the people will have an opportunity to give their mandate to a different class of people. And that's what is going to happen in 2019. Okay. And I've said this before, and I'm repeating it for the sake of emphasis, that this election in 2019 is not going to be a walk in the park for President Buhari and by extension the APC.
Okay, let me bring in the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party, Shehu Gabam, who is joining us from Abuja studio right now. It's good to have you join us. Now, I asked my guest here earlier, is this the repeat of what happened in 2014 and 2015 playing out in 2018 and 2019? And he said exactly. Well, you've been following development as well, from especially how things played out yesterday at the National Assembly and across parts of the country. What are you assessing? What's your judgment so far of what's going on?
First and foremost, let me thank you for found what happened yesterday was quite unfortunate. I thought that we have passed this era of political in terms of dealing with issues politically. So I thought almost 2 years, I thought we have an elect response to the executive angle and then what we have yesterday was purely out of legal grievances that accumulated from the congresses of the as well into taking a very tough decision and people draw their red line. And of course that was what was mentioned yesterday. But the saddest part of it was the
All right, Shehu, I'm going to put you on hold because the audio from your end is not very clear, but I'm going to put you on hold so they can work on it and then we have you back on. Yeah. Now, Section 68 of the Constitution, we've quoted that earlier on the program, but certainly we need to have a better understanding. Nigerians have this understanding. There's this argument that if you are elected on the platform of a political party and then you decide to defect at the cost of your being there, you will lose your seat because the vote is actually the party's and not yours. But there is also a caveat that says if there are crises, it warrants anybody to defect. So what is going on as far as this is concerned? Because some people have argued that those seats of people who decamped or defected should be declared vacant.
Yes, ideally that's how it's supposed to be. But that's not just going to happen because you have to look at the Constitution. And the point is this. You see, if you are in the Senate, you have the mandate of the people. And under a particular political party. That's the starting point. But if you decamp and you leave that party, it is a loss to another party. It is a loss of the people's mandate. And what is supposed to happen in an ideal situation, you have to go back to the people and they will now decide whether they want you to continue under that new political
with the mandate
party,
they gave you.
with the mandate which given to you.
Okay.
Now, ideally, that's the way it's supposed to be. But we have a problem here, whereby the Constitution says in this section you mentioned, Section 68, 1G, that, look, once you decamp, you are supposed to, your seat becomes vacant. Except, that's what you call the caveat, exception. Except where there's a merger between your party and another party, or there is a function within your party, or there is a division. Those are the three exceptions. And what is supposed to happen for your seat to be declared vacant, the onus is on the Senate President to go before Parliament, the parliamentarians, and say, look, this seat is now vacant because Honorable Member XYZ was a member of a certain political party, but there is a division and what have you, this and that. Now, we now have a situation. What happened is that the Senate President will just read a letter from a particular individual that, look, this person has decamped to this. So the problem is with the Constitution. And this needs to, either they need to amend the Constitution to make sure we don't have all this sort of crisis. It happens in 2014, and it's happening now. How long are we going to have this? But we're going to have a problem. Are the legislator willing to amend the Constitution, which in the long run, affects them? And that's the million-dollar question.
And do you think that the All Progressives Congress, who's been hit with these defections, would take that route?
Whether they will take that route?
Yes.
Well,
of challenging this in court.
Well, ideally, I think that's the best route. But they will need to be very careful. Because, number one, they are going to say, you want them to challenge it in court. Now, they have a problem. Because they will have to go to the court and say, look, these people, their seats should be declared vacant. And the exception, which I mentioned earlier, didn't apply. But what they've been telling us day and night is that, look, there is no division within the APC. It's still one united party, this and that. But if they are not happy with what happened, they have two options. The first option is either to engage in a politics of alignment by meeting these people, talking to them, which they've tried to do, but that didn't succeed. Or the alternative, they should go to court and seek an interpretation. Those are the two issues. But as things stand, all these, I'm not going to lose a sleep, this and that. Well, it may well be you won't lose a sleep, but you're going to have a nightmare. Because at the end of the day, no, that's the reality of life.
But if you look at it with the way, because the writings had been on the wall, like the biblical mene, mene, tekel, and parson.
Yeah.
Whoever didn't see this coming, whoever didn't see this coming, obviously was asleep at the wheel. But do you think that the APC was a little bit arrogant in the way that they have tried to handle these issues until this moment?
You see, I won't use the word arrogant because ideally you have to be very careful the way you deal with this sort of situation. And it still boils down to your crisis management ability. If people open their mouth or go on the rooftop and said, I'm going to leave your party, and you call them and said, okay, this is what is going to happen, we will give you the ticket again, we will make you the Senate president. If you are not careful, you will open a floodgate. Others are going to come out and say, oh, this is it. So what you need to do first is to say, look, if you go, you can go, you have no electoral value, this and that.
You're like a bluff.
Exactly. Then even though you are saying that outside, that doesn't mean you are not talking to them behind and say, look, there is no need for this and that. So it's not that they are arrogant because they try to reach out to these people, but at the end of the day, these are people who have weighed all the options and they realize the options are against them. So what are they going to do? They have to move on.
But you had an agreement, the party had an agreement, ab initio, with these individuals.
Yes.
And you wonder, why were they not kept? The terms of agreement.
Well, you know, you see, for an agreement to be effective, both parties must be willing. And you can have an agreement that you are not going to go out and talk to the public, and we will not expel you. So the will must be there from both sides. You can have an agreement, but some of these agreements are not even what the papers they were written on. Because number one, if you get some of these political icons in a room with a senator, appealing to them that don't do this, don't do that. It's not impossible for that senator to say, okay, I've listened to you. But in their inner heart, what they intend to do is that they are going to leave that political party one way or the other. And it still boils down to one of the comments from some of your commentators that, look, the party structure, some of the governors in that state, they have their own share of the blame of what is going on, because we are concentrating on the chairman of the party and President Buhari. I appreciate we cannot isolate them, but the nut and bolt is that some of the governors have hijacked the party structure in that state, so that these people don't have a state. They don't have a platform.
Like it is in Kano, it is in Kaduna,
and if you listen to Senator Larry Tejo, he said, look, I don't even know what is going on, even in my own state. So, you know, when you have such, they need to reach out to some of these governors that enough of all this crisis. We need to tell the public our achievements in the last 3 years. And all this defection from here to there is now overshadowing the achievement of President Buhari. And what people are now associating with him is, oh, this man is leaving APC and this. And if you are not careful, that's going to be an electoral liability come 2019.
All right. The issue there is before the Congress, in fact, before the local council congresses that were held, there were wranglings here and there, and the president made some efforts to try to bring reconciliation, where he gave an assignment to the leader of the party, and the national chairman at that time, John Oyegun, was also going around trying to reconcile here and there. But a lot of people still said that you didn't reach out the way it was supposed to be done, and not everybody was reached out to, and those who were reached out to, some agreements were not necessarily concrete, as it were. So how would you assess, from where we are standing now, the reconciliatory efforts put by the president and even by the national chairman at that time until now, and where we are? How would you assess the success of those reconciliation efforts?
Well, I think the success is not far-fetched. If it has been successful, what happened yesterday wouldn't have happened in the first instance. So the need, and when you get that sort of situation, it's either you go back to the drawing board and then try to, there might be what is called a change of strategy. That why is this not working? It may well be in the long run. Some people will have to go because some people, by their nature, there are people you call a disruptive influence. Even in an organization, you will get this element who is just there to cause trouble. No matter what, at a point, you will have to tell him that, look, enough is enough. I don't want to come to work every day and be resolving crises. You have to go. So, but for now, that reconciliation effort, I think there is something defective along the line. And that defect needs to be cured, either by constituting another panel, but though time is against them now because election is around the corner. I think we have about 200 and some few days now. So they will need to try as much as possible because, you know, we are talking about those who defected yesterday. There are those we don't even know what is in their mind, who are still weighing all the options. So they need to reach out to those people and make sure they toe the party line.
But in trying to do so, when you put that, those trying to do so, because if anyone told you that it will not happen, that person would be asleep at the wheel. And if you put that on one side and then put the president's comments as well on the other hand, where he said it's a seasonal occurrence, trying to tell the party faithful that it's a seasonal occurrence. I mean, it's how do you look at the two?
No, I think it doesn't add up, because at the end of the day, if you see, we have to be very careful of people marking their own homework, because you can say, look, it is a seasonal occurrence. This has happened before. It's not a new thing, but it's not limited to that. You need to look at, look, it happens before, and what was the effect?
And the effect, the devastating effect.
Exactly, the outcome. Exactly.
The outcome. What was the outcome as at that time? Will the outcome now have an effect on us? So if you take that cavalier approach that, well, it's a seasonal occurrence, this and that, it's going to affect you in the long run. So what you need to do, you know, you have this manifesto, you still have a lot to do. You promise Nigeria this and that, heaven and that, whatever the case. You want to run a government. We don't need this. And for me to run a successful government, I need the cooperation of everybody. So that is why you cannot take a cavalier approach. What the APC needs to do, as things stand, is to open their listening here and listen to and find out why are these people aggrieved. Where are the places where we have an issue? Can we reach out to these people? Can we get somebody who is even an independent person to reach out to them on our behalf? Otherwise, if you use the same existing structure, people will start reading meanings to
But
your
again,
action.
how do you also, sorry, Mike, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole, the way that he has approached issues, people are beginning to look at him as taking a bullish approach. For instance, coming out in the open to say, look, any minister, referring to Chris Ngige, look, if you don't constitute the boards of parastatals, you are going to be disciplined, thrown out of the party, and all of that. And Ngige has responded as well in one of the papers. Let me see. Okay, so Ngige responded, look, you are ignorant of procurement laws. That's a stage for discord.
Yes.
All right. So, is this a time to follow that kind of approach when implosion is staring the party in the face?
You see, it's a wrong approach. It is a very, very wrong approach. You see, sometimes there's something you call, you don't fan the flame. And at the same time, if you watch people who have been trained to do this, even if you miss your flight and you arrive at the airport and you say, oh, I'm going for my daughter's wedding, I need to go, this and that. There's something they call cracking the pot. They will tell you, sorry, you are too late, and the flight is just about to leave. Then you keep saying, how am I going to tell my husband, hey, I've lost my ticket? They say, sorry, you are too late. the flight is just about to leave. So they keep repeating that word. At a point, you, the aggrieved or the complainant, will turn around and say, okay, when is the next flight? That's what is going to happen. So you have to be very careful not to be fanning the flame. And some people just want, if people are aggrieved and they keep talking and complaining, sometimes you just listen so that they will run out of steam. And then whatever you're going to say. But if you take this fully bullish approach, as you put it, the next thing you are going to get is that things are going to escalate and it will get out of hand. And you see, this is where I have my issue with the president himself. If I'm the president of the country, I will call you to order. Look, I have a government to run. I have the people's mandate. I want my achievement to get to the people. If on the 24th of July, Nigerians are talking about 14 senators of 37 senators defecting from my party, then on the 25th of July, they are talking about the chairman of the political party and the minister fighting each other, exchanging words in the public. What am I going to tell people I'm fighting corruption? Look, the two of you, if you have issues to settle, go and settle it at home or wherever. For now, I just want you to start propagating my achievement, and because election is coming, you are becoming
presenting a united front.
And you present a united front. But you see, sometimes you don't engage in what you call a pointless exercise of power. Even if you have the power as the chairman to expel them, that will be the last resort. You just wait. And the man has given you an explanation, this and that. Whether that is right or wrong, I don't want to have any opinion on that. But the issue is that you are fanning the flame, you are showing people you have power, you can do this. Even if you have power, you have to be humble.
All right, let's talk about the impact of the way things are playing out now on our political culture. In the First, Second Republic, we saw things like this. In the Third Republic, it was things like this. Here we are again. But one would say is the beauty of democracy. We've heard politicians say that different times. But yesterday, the leader of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, was emphatic on something. He said that these people who defected should have stayed and worked on their ideology, because that is the complaint of people, and all our political parties don't have ideologies. But if you watch what's going on, would you see it as, are we developing, are we building on what we have as a democracy?
Well, I think it's different. I don't know whether we are progressing or retrogressing, because at the end of the day, you know, the people needs food, people needs security. At the same time, they want their daughters and sons to be gainfully employed. And those who are working, they should live like someone who is working. But we have a country where those who are working are people you can classify as working poor. Because once they get their salary and pay their children's school fees, there is nothing left. And I have seen it since the last few months I've been in Nigeria. If you go on the Third Mainland Bridge in the morning, you will see people eating plantain crisps for breakfast. You don't even see people at the hawkers selling donuts or something. And people can't just stay at home and have a decent breakfast before they come out, because they are worried about traffic, they are worried about the gridlock on Akpakpa. You see, there are a lot of myriad of problems. And if you have a country where people are not playing politics the way it should be played, what is going to get is what is happening now. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about people, once they get to the Senate, they get what is called lestupendos, they become wealthy. And then, do you think these people want to live? And you are now expecting them to come and play politics of ideology, when they can play politics about their pockets, what they can get. So, you know, we have all sorts of issues. But the issue is this, it still goes to the electorate. We need to send a powerful message. That's why I agree with one of your commentators, that we need to educate people that, look, once there is an election, that is an opportunity for you to send a powerful message to the government that enough is enough.
And talking about education of the electorate, an Indian nationalist, Raja, said, if the education that one receives does not change the way that one thinks, then such education is not better than the shirt you put on in the morning and pull away in the evening. in the morning, pull away in the evening. Isn't it time, or shall I put it this way, that is it about time that we started to interrogate the education that young people that we receive these days, religious education, institutional education, and all of that? Isn't it time to begin to interrogate them?
You see, education doesn't make you to, the benefit of education is that it helps you to get over life complexities. And are we saying people are not informed enough? Even if you change the education, the religious and what have you, as you rightly mentioned, but there is one issue. There's a missing piece of the jigsaw. And that missing of the jigsaw is that if you don't give people opportunity, there's going to be a problem. You understand me? If you don't give them opportunity to earn a decent wages, a decent living, what goes on? You go out there. Some people are just eating just to keep going. They are not eating to live. Yeah. Do you understand me? That's why you see them eating just by the gutter. You understand me? So if you don't give citizens opportunity, what you're going to get, you will get what happened in Ekiti. People selling their votes, selling their voters' card. This is what is going to happen. So the onus is on the electorate to look at things critically. That, look, is this how we're going to go on? You will see people saying they are frustrated about Nigeria. You will see people who just want to leave the country. You understand me? So, but is that the solution? Because where you are going, you don't even know where you're going to meet there. But the point is that government needs to live up to responsibility, and we, the electorate, needs to call politicians to give account as to when it is appropriate.
And it does appear that there is a deliberate attempt, the way it seems.
Let's get to Abuja.
Okay.
We
the man is there.
Shehu Gabam on now, but he's joining us on phone. All right, Shehu Gabam. Sorry we couldn't really establish signals with you, but it's good to have you join us on phone. Now we were talking about the political landscape we find ourselves right now, and I asked you earlier on, what is your assessment of what is going on? Just what I might add to the question I asked you earlier on, that you were making a point, is that are we making progress really in our political culture the way we should have it done?
Well, you know, democracy entails a lot of things. There are a lot of ups and downs naturally, particularly in the third world countries, where we pick up a system that is not so familiar.
All right, we still all right, the signals are not really good today from Abuja. All right, let me come back to you, Lufemi. If we look at the ruling party right now, because they are doing everything to retain power the next, but looking at both extremes, what could be their stepping stone to retaining power, and what could be their undoing if they don't handle things well?
Well, the undoing is that they're going to lose the election. That is and the signal is coming day and night. They need to think critically that, look, don't think, I know some of them are thinking, look, come what may, the Northerners are going to vote for President Buhari, come hell or high water. But some of these senators who are defecting from the ruling party, are they not from the North? So, you see, they will need to be very, very careful. And the undoing is that they will lose that election. Somebody tried that in 2014, and it's no longer in power now. So we need to be very careful. But the stepping stone is very simple. Number one, let me tell you the way it works. You have these people now, they are no longer in your party. So don't worry about those ones for now. Put that aside. There are those who are still thinking, should I stay or should I go? Let's reach out to make sure we don't have that problem. And I will tell you, then you will know, at that particular point, you will know the problem I have at hand is those 37 people. It's like, you see, there are people who are well trained, who do this very well. And some of these airlines, if you miss your flight on Monday and they lodge you in an hotel, they know they have problem because you people miss your flight. Those who are supposed to fly on Tuesday, they will let them fly. because they know, they know that the problem we have are those Monday people. But if you ask the Monday people to fly on Tuesday, the next thing you're going to have, you will lose the goodwill of those on Monday and those on Tuesday. And then you will have a problem. So the APC needs to sit down and look at things critically that, look, we have this mass defection. That is the problem we have at hand. We will reach out to them as time goes by. But those who are about to defect, let us try and reach out. And also, there are so many things which are not even clear. And you need to be very careful the way you use power, because the undertake can spring a surprise if care is not taken. This idea of going to block Senate, President House, doing this, or the writing letter to people to report to EFCC the same day, and you are trying to engage in a power tussle so that there will be a change of leadership in the Senate. That is something you need to be very careful. Because if the electorate get that signal that you are trying to persecute these people or you are misusing power, it might cost you.
Okay. And again, someone, a resource person just like you, posited that, look, the National Assembly, if you look at the rancor that always exists between the National Assembly and the presidency, that look, and the way that they behave as well, most of them, that it's constituting some sort of hindrance to development. That, look, it will be better if we scrapped the National Assembly. Is there a sense in which you,
No, I won't allude to that because, the separation of power, the concept is there, and that must be respected. But there must be a synergy between every arms of government. And the problem we have is that it's not very unusual to have conflict between the executive and the legislature. That is part of
but
the
how to manage the conflict?
But how do you manage it so that things doesn't get out of hand? The government has, they have a manifesto which they need to work on, and they want to tell people they are keeping to the spirit of that manifesto. Then you have legislators, especially in a multi-party society, whereby some members are saying, no, we will block you, we won't let you go. So what you need to do at that point is to engage in what you call politics of appeasement, to find out how you can appease to these people. And also, you see, for you to reach an agreement, somebody must be ready, must be willing to let go.
Compromise.
To compromise and let go. So what you need to do is to say, okay, this is what they are complaining about, that this amount is too high. Can we reduce it? Or can we reduce it here and factor it in another way? So sometimes it's when you lose it at a stretch, you can get it at the runabout. So it is a give and take exercise. But if you don't engage in that, you won't move. You won't get anywhere.
All right, Olufemi Aino, international lawyer and politician, thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.
And we apologize we couldn't have Shehu Gabam, the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party, consistently due to the